chosen ones, I advise that you listen carefully and pay close attention to this video. I come to you as a harbinger of truth, tasked with breaking the shackles that have long imprisoned you. Do you ever feel that pit in your stomach when family gatherings turn into battlegrounds of passive-aggressive comments about your choices? Those subtle jabs and backhanded compliments that feel like paper cuts to your confidence? Here's the truth. Your success is making them uncomfortable, and that's actually a sign you're on the right path. This video will show you why your toxic family's reactions validate your growth, and how their discomfort proves you're breaking free from their limiting beliefs. The moment you start achieving your goals, the guilt trips intensify. You never visit anymore, they say, while conveniently forgetting how they dismissed your dreams, mocked your ambitions, and downplayed your potential. The guilt tripping isn't random. It's a desperate attempt to maintain control over you and your narrative. Think about it. Every time you achieve something remarkable, they manage to steer the conversation toward family obligations or dredge up past mistakes, as if your success somehow undermines your loyalty to them. It's a subtle but calculated tactic, designed to remind you of what they think you owe them or where you faltered before, as if to diminish the brightness of your accomplishments. These manipulative strategies don't arise out of nowhere. They become more pronounced because your success disrupts the comfortable narrative they've built around you. Remember all those moments when they doubted you, belittled your aspirations, or dismissed your ambitions as impractical dreams? Your achievements now stand as undeniable evidence that they were wrong, and confronting that truth is something they struggle to handle. The contrast between the version of you they've clung to and the person you've become challenges their perception. And for some, that's a deeply uncomfortable reckoning. The guilt they attempt to burden you with, however, isn't yours to bear. It's a projection of their own fears and insecurities, reflecting more about their internal struggles than anything about you. Their effort to make you feel small in the face of your success isn't just about maintaining control. It stems from a deeper fear of being left behind or rendered irrelevant by your growth. It's their sense of inadequacy, magnified by your progress, that fuels these behaviors. When you recognize this pattern, it becomes easier to detach from the emotional weight they try to impose. Their actions are less about you and more about their discomfort with their own limitations. Seeing their behavior through this lens empowers you to embrace your success unapologetically, without internalizing the guilt they project onto you. Their comments might intensify, becoming more insistent and more personal. "You think you're too good for us now," they might say, attempting to frame your personal growth as a betrayal of your family ties. But in reality, your journey has nothing to do with abandoning them. It's about not abandoning yourself. You are finally prioritizing your own needs, your dreams, and your future. They may bring up past sacrifices they made, painting themselves as victims of your ambition. But remember, their sacrifices were their choices, and your achievements are your own. You do not owe them stagnation to keep them comfortable. The emotional manipulation is a tactic meant to anchor you to a version of yourself that no longer exists. They want to keep you small, because your growth forces them to confront their own choices, their own failures, and the opportunities they never took. Each time they try to guilt you, it's because your success is a mirror reflecting what they could have done, but didn't. You might find that the more you succeed, the more they attempt to bring up family traditions or obligations, trying to bind you to the past. Family comes first, they might insist, as if your pursuit of a better life is somehow a betrayal of your roots. But the truth is, family should be a source of support, not a chain that holds you back. Your success doesn't mean you love them any less. It simply means you love yourself enough to strive for more. The discomfort they feel isn't about your actions. It's about their own insecurities. They fear being left behind, being exposed for their lack of ambition, or simply being unable to control you as they once did. The guilt they place on you is a reflection of their own fear of change and loss of control. Understanding this helps you to emotionally distance yourself from their manipulations. It helps you to recognize that their limitations are not your own, and that their fear is not your responsibility to manage. Your journey is yours alone, and no amount of guilt tripping can take away what you have earned through hard work and resilience. Your family might pride themselves on staying realistic or knowing their place, but what they call realism is often fear wearing a mask of practicality. It's easier for them to hide behind this supposed realism than to confront the uncomfortable truth that they may have limited themselves. When you break away from their pattern of playing small, it creates ripples that disturb their comfortable pond of mediocrity. It forces them to look at themselves and question why they never dared to dream bigger. Your ambition makes them question their own choices, and that discomfort can be unsettling for them. They might say, "We've always been simple people," using tradition as a shield against change, as if being simple is inherently noble. But here's what's really happening. Your success exposes the self-imposed limitations they've accepted as truth, and that truth now feels fragile in the face of your achievements. Every step you take toward your goals challenges their belief system. It's not just about you succeeding. It's about you proving that their so-called realism was nothing more than fear. It's about showing that their limitations were never absolute, but rather choices they made. Choices they justified under the guise of practicality. This realization is hard for them to swallow, because it means acknowledging that they could have chosen differently too. They might accuse you of thinking you're better than family, when in reality, you're simply refusing to inherit their fears. You're choosing to define your own version of success, one that isn't confined by the smallness they accepted. The more you grow, the more your growth becomes a mirror that reflects the paths they didn't take, the dreams they gave up on. They'll use phrases like, "We just want you to be happy," but often what they mean is they want you to conform, to return to the familiar pattern where they feel comfortable. Your success represents change, and change is inherently threatening to those who have built their lives around stability, even if that stability is tinged with unfulfilled potential. When you refuse to play small, it doesn't just impact you. It forces everyone around you to confront their own choices. They see in you what they could have been, and that can stir resentment, even if it's never openly acknowledged. The discomfort they project onto you is a manifestation of the dissonance they feel within themselves. Your journey is not just about breaking free. It's about challenging the very foundation of the beliefs they have held onto for so long. And that is why they react the way they do. Not because they don't love you, but because your courage illuminates their own fears, and that light can be blinding when they've spent their lives in the dark. Watch how they project their insecurities onto your journey. If they never pursued their dreams due to fear, they'll warn you about failure, trying to instill the same doubts that held them back. If they settled for less, they'll call your ambitions unrealistic, not because they are, but because your courage to reach higher reflects their lack of it. These projections intensify as you succeed, because your achievements contradict their excuses, highlighting the paths they chose not to take. They might say things like, "You've changed," making it sound like a bad thing. But change is exactly what you needed to grow, to evolve beyond the limits they accepted. Their projections are like old maps trying to navigate new territories, outdated and irrelevant to your journey, unable to guide you where you need to go. When they criticize your choices, they're really fighting their own regrets, the parts of themselves that wish they had taken the chances you are now taking. Their comments are a defense mechanism, a way to protect themselves from facing the uncomfortable truth that they chose fear over possibility. Understanding this dynamic helps you maintain your course without getting entangled in their emotional web, recognizing that their words are more about their own internal battles than about your actions. By seeing their criticism for what it truly is, a reflection of their unfulfilled dreams, you gain the strength to move forward with clarity and purpose, free from the weight of their expectations. As your success grows, their criticism often becomes more sophisticated. Instead of outright negativity, they might use concern trolling. "We're just worried about you working too hard," or "Are you sure this is worth the stress?" They might even frame their disapproval as a compliment cloaked in anxiety, saying things like, "You're doing so well, but aren't you afraid of burning out?" Or "It's amazing what you've accomplished, but it seems so overwhelming." This evolved form of criticism requires stronger boundaries, as it can be harder to identify and easier to internalize. You're developing an immunity to their words, recognizing that their concern often masks disapproval or discomfort with your growth. This immunity doesn't mean you stop feeling hurt. It means you stop letting that hurt direct your actions or dictate your choices. You begin to see their comments as reflections of their own fears rather than a reflection of your reality. You learn to distinguish between genuine feedback, which comes from a place of care and a desire to see you thrive, and manipulative criticism, which is rooted in their insecurities. Their words lose power as you build confidence in your path, as you realize that the journey you're on is yours alone, not something that needs to fit into their comfort zone. Each time they try to sow doubt under the guise of concern, you grow a little more resilient, a little more certain that your path is the right one for you. You start to trust your intuition over their fears, understanding that their hesitation is not a marker of your limitations, but of theirs. This transformation in how you perceive their words marks a powerful shift, from being influenced by their fears to being guided by your own aspirations. The fascinating part about toxic family dynamics is how their negativity can become your greatest motivator. Each dismissive comment, each undermining remark, transforms into fuel for your determination. When they doubt your business venture, their skepticism pushes you to prove them wrong. When they minimize your achievements, their words strengthen your resolve. This transformation of negativity into motivation isn't about spite. It's about understanding that their limitations don't define your potential. You're not succeeding to prove them wrong. You're succeeding because you've learned to believe in yourself despite their influence. Success requires nurturing, and if your family can't provide that, you have the power to build your own support network. This means surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your wins without adding conditions or criticism. These might be friends, mentors, or professional connections who understand your journey. Your chosen family becomes the antidote to toxic family dynamics. They provide the encouragement and genuine feedback that helps you grow. This support system helps you maintain perspective when family triggers arise. They remind you that your success isn't selfish. It's necessary for your growth. Your success requires strong boundaries, especially as your toxic family's behavior intensifies. This means learning to say no without explanation, limiting exposure to negative family members, and protecting your mental space. You might need to reduce contact during crucial project phases, or learn to deflect conversations that drain your energy. These boundaries aren't about punishment. They're about protection. You're creating the space you need to thrive. This might mean missing some family events or limiting phone calls. Remember, maintaining boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential for your continued growth and success. Your toxic family's discomfort with your success isn't a burden. It's confirmation that you're breaking free from limiting patterns. Their resistance proves you're growing beyond the boundaries they tried to set for you. Your journey isn't just about achieving goals. It's about reclaiming your right to define your own path and success.